Top tight ends. So it's always a conversation of where to draft a tight end, who goes first, and all that.
Yep.
To me, the question is always, when is your draft, right? Like, the closer it is to the season, things can change between today and tomorrow, obviously,
Yes, Lord.
injuries and all that. But right now, this is ESPN's top 10 rankings. In order, Travis Kelce, Sam LaPorta, Mark Andrews, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram, George Kittle, David Njoku, Kyle Pitts, Jake Ferguson, 1 through 10. I'll say this, 1 through 10, I'm comfortable with 7 of those tight ends being my guy.
Who?
So I'll go Kelce, LaPorta, McBride, Kincaid, Ingram, Njoku, Ferguson. I don't like Pitts. I don't like George Kittle.
You don't like Pitts?
And I don't like Mark Andrews. I'm just going to stay away from Mark Andrews coming off that significant
What's
injury.
up with Pitts and you? That's your guy. He is Kirk Cousins.
Pitts is my guy with flag football talk, but I got to see it to believe it that he can be a guy where you target him. I'd rather go Drake London. And in an offense where in the red zone you're going to have Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. I just don't know where it's going to go. But it's also like, why would I pick Kyle Pitts, drafting him at a spot over Jake Ferguson where it's only CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson?
Sure, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I get it.
Or where if you go with David Njoku, it's Njoku, Amari Cooper. I know they got Jerry Jeudy. I would stay away from Njoku too, just
Chubb
because of the Chubb coming back, because of the unknown with Deshaun Watson. And again, Alex Van Pelt, who's now here, was the offensive coordinator with David Njoku out in Cleveland when he had a great year. But I want to start with, we've seen Trey McBride actually in some drafts be tight end 1, which
that's where I'm at. I'm not a tight end 1. Let me look. So would you give me 6 names?
I gave you 7 I'd ride with.
Okay.
I really kind of cut it down to 6 after talking about it.
I have 3. I'm going to shock you here. Honestly, tight end 1 for me is Sam LaPorta.
I agree with that.
Let me just be honest. 2, I'm willing to go Mark Andrews. And the reason why, Mark Andrews is someone who, when healthy, he's as good as anyone in the league. And Lamar Jackson loves throwing to that dude. So as long as he's healthy, he's going to get you points. He's going to get you tight end 1 points. So I'm going Mark Andrews. What I would recommend is probably carrying 2 tight ends on your roster if you have a Mark Andrews. That way, you're in good shape. Not if, when he gets hurt, because it's just a matter of when at this point.
So why would you draft? But then you're going to take him with a top 3 round pick.
But where I love, though, is who I'm targeting for me personally is Trey McBride. That's a guy. Listen.
You got to take one or the other.
Yeah, I would take McBride over Andrews.
Yep.
But I love him because Kyler Murray, of course, as his quarterback, we all think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be great. But if he's great, if we're right that this rookie can ball out, that's going to open things up more so for Trey McBride. I know a lot of people are doing the opposite. A lot of people are fading Trey McBride because they have Marvin Harrison Jr. I see it completely opposite. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the kind of guy that can run any route, and he's definitely has the speed and the size and the athletic ability to run deep routes all day long. So if you do that, you're going to open up the middle of the field for Trey McBride. And, oh, by the way, wherever Marvin Harrison Jr. goes, the defense must account for him, which will open things up. I am so far away from being anywhere close to drafting Travis Kelce. I made a joke about this to start the show with the Happy Gilmore 2 news and all that. That's just part of the equation. But that is the equation with this guy. I mean, between Taylor Swift, traveling, doing every interview possible to talk about his love for Taylor Swift. Then now you have Happy Gilmore 2. He does the podcast with his whole family tree, it feels like. He's got everything going. He's in every commercial. I just think Travis Kelce at this stage of his career, at this advanced age, with the mileage on those tires, it just feels destined to either have one or two things, or maybe a combo here, of number one, he just takes a step back production-wise because Father Time's undefeated. It just is, okay? That's normal. But two, which is the one I fear the most for him, and certainly fantasy owners if you draft him, it just feels like an injury waiting to happen. Like some sort of you're not as dialed in, you're not in the best of shape that you usually are, you're not as focused like you usually are. All the Taylor Swift stuff that happened during the season is one thing. But now the off season, all that kind of rolling into another season here, I don't know. Maybe it's doom and gloom for me and I'm thinking too negatively. But I just feel like it's just a gut feeling here with Travis Kelce, but I just have buyers beware. So I'd go LaPorta, McBride, and Andrews. That's it.
What gets me with Andrews, though, is the range he's going in. You would take a Mark Andrews over a DJ Moore, who's going to enter his age 27 season, going into his prime. The Bears just paid him, and with Shane Waldron coming into his system where he's going to be their best wide receiver. He's going to be their number one, and he has a good quarterback in Caleb Williams. He put up ridiculous numbers last season, saw over 110 targets as well.
He's really good.
And that was such an inconsistent offense with Justin Fields never really getting a fair shot.
Yep.
Or you could take a Jalen Waddle, or again, if you go skill guys early rounds, Anthony Richardson's going in the Mark Andrews range. So it's, again, I wouldn't want to take Mark Andrews over a DJ Moore and Anthony Richardson or Jalen Waddle. It's all the options you face.
Yeah, but that's strategy, George, because listen, I get the quarterback.
And that's what you need when drafting.
I get the quarterback a little bit with Anthony Richardson because of the dual threat ability, I'm assuming. But, you know, there are other good quarterbacks, obviously, that you can draft. Also, there are a ton of good wide receivers you could draft. There are not, I know we have 10 here on this list, but I already told you, I mean, you went half of them, and I went 3 of them. You're not going to get great quality at the tight end position, so that's why you would roll the dice there.
But you can get a Dalton Kincaid later in the draft, and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, that's gone. 241 targets. It's Khalil Shakur and Dalton Kincaid. You can get them so many draft slots later. So then you have DJ Moore, and you still have a tight end, especially in a PPR league that's putting up good numbers, or Evan Ingram way further down. He got 143 targets last season. I don't care what he was averaging per reception. It was under 10 yards. 143 targets is insane. And now it's Brian Thomas Jr. there and Gabe Davis, but it's a rookie receiver as their number one and then go there. Or I just think it's, again, Jake Ferguson, if you think of the pecking order of the offense. What I do love about Sam LaPorta, if you were to go tight end one, you go LaPorta, because Jared Goff's strengths favor places to target the field, short to intermediate, middle of the field.
That's right.
LaPorta got 26% of those targets from Goff last season. And the Lions, this is anything in the Lions passing game, they won't be in an open air game until week 9 at Green Bay. Like, they play at Arizona, retractable roof. Then after that, 6 straight games in a dome. 6 straight until they're playing at Chicago at that point. He had the 3rd most targets among top 10 fantasy tight ends last season, and he had 10 touchdowns. I mean, he finishes tight end 1. He stays healthy. And I know Jameson Williams is back. I'm not buying into Jameson Williams. No, as a wide receiver, it's the pecking order for the passing game. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, then Sam LaPorta. And then Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery fall into some point of that. If you look at Trey McBride, him playing off of Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that opens up more from him. So it's a matter of, I'm going to go LaPorta. If he falls to me at a good spot, which I don't think where I'm currently drafting in my league, it would happen.
Where are you at? What's
After
your spot?
that, 4th overall.
Yeah, no.
He's not going to be there on the back because he's not going first.
No.
But then when I'm looking at a Mark Andrews or a Trey McBride, I think pass on them because a Dalton Kincaid or Evan Ingram later. Or way later, and a Jake Ferguson get him as well.
Well, let me say something that's kind of simple here too. Don't overthink yourself to the point where you've gone cross-eyed over tight ends. I had Mark Andrews last season. We know how that ended. I hit the waiver wire. I scooped up Dalton Schultz with the Texans, who obviously a
Schultz
quarterback
is down there too. Now Stephon Diggs is in the fold. But
well, I'm just saying, a quarterback named C.J. Stroud was feeding Dalton Schultz just fine. Now, he wasn't getting Mark Andrews points, obviously, but it was solid. I wasn't losing my weeks because of the tight end position. I was able to still make the playoffs. So don't overthink it too much. Just get a solid tight end when you can. But these are the creme de la creme that we've talked about here.
If you go Mark Andrews, you can on the back end get a Jake Ferguson with a lot of value.
Yeah, that's
a
what
Dalton
I'm saying.
Schultz, a TJ Hawkinson.
You have to. It's like handcuffing a running back.
I am a believer in double tight end. I even do it in the way of there is going to be an owner out there that needs a tight end because there's only so many of them.
That's all I'm saying.
And then it's trade value. Where if I'm drafting a tight end because I don't like how the running backs fell,
that's all I'm saying.
Then you can trade in that way too.
It's like handcuffing running backs. It's the same kind of theory.
Yeah, go with 2 tight ends, 2 different systems. But you're right. If you take everyone from one backfield, I mean, eventually you're going to have the guy that the cream rises to the top. And all that. It's just interesting of how the tight ends, because it used to be, it was Kelce, it was Mark Andrews, and really after that, you're falling flat, right? But now the emergence of LaPorta, even a Luke Musgrave out there in Green Bay, watch what he can do as well. Like those are other tight end you can say sleepers, guys that can break out. That can be a Luke Musgrave in Green Bay in that system that they love.
Sure.
And even if you look elsewhere, of course, there's always a threat. If you look at Sean McVay and what he does with the Rams as well. But it's tough with the Bears because they have so many mouths to feed. There's Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet in that system as well. But then on top of Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and DeAndre Swift. So they're the offenses where there's a lot of options, but there are offenses, even with Musgrave and Green Bay, there's a lot of receivers there, the smart ones to pick.
Absolutely. Facts.
And look at TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, if he gets suspended, whatever he faces, whatever happens with him, Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, that's it.
Yep.
Sam Darnold's a starter. A guy like Sam Darnold who isn't that good, safe haven is always the tight end.
Hawkinson, you could probably get late too because he's coming off an injury. So, he's going to be available later than you would think based on his talent. So that's someone you could maybe get late, kind of stash in that backup position we're talking about. If you have a starting tight end and then when Hawk's healthy, plug and play, you're cooking with oil, baby.